talking, I don't sweat that. If they don't trust me either, I respect that. The she need down the ride, oh I bet that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that. Don't forget that, don't forget that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that. Don't forget that, don't forget that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is JH. How y'all doing, Postal family? Is everybody good? Is everybody cool? Are you clean, crisp? Are you feeling irie today? Let's talk. But first, y'all like that South Park shirt? Y'all don't take Jay too serious because I be wearing these silly shirts. I get it. I understand. But let me explain something to you. I got a few videos this week that are gonna reflect on my past videos, and you're gonna like it because it's talking about what's happening today, but I spoke about it over a year ago. You're gonna get it. But that's for another video. I'm just letting you guys know beforehand. But you guys wanna know about what's in this title. And before we get to what we're talking about in this title, we wanna go back to all the people that have been robbed. All my mail carriers that have been robbed. All these people that have been ran up on, mail stolen, keys taken, beat up, just totally disrespected. And then we had these things that were going on with the postal police that have been fighting to try to get more people. And for some reason they were being denied of their, just getting more people to protect our workers. Then they said, oh yeah, the postal police are only specifically to protect the actual mail and the post offices, not the carriers, which is wild to me. So who's protecting our carriers and our people that walk on the street and interact with every single type of human being known to man in the United States? Because who touches every single house? FedEx doesn't. No. Amazon doesn't. No. DHL doesn't. No. UPS doesn't. Who? It's United States Postal Service. We touch every single house, every mailbox we deliver everywhere in this country. Do we have some weird people in this country? Answer that question, please. I'll wait. No, I'm not gonna wait. I'm gonna tell you, we got a bunch of weirdos in this country, and people that have to interact with these people are always putting their lives at risk. You know who's at risk more than the regular carriers? The rural carriers, because they don't really have anything to identify them as postal workers because they don't get no uniforms. But that's something for their union to fight for. I'm getting to the point here, and I think this is not to trigger anybody, but this is fact, okay? So before anybody in management decides to jump on here and start your tish, we are not bigger than the Constitution of the United States of America. We are not bigger than the Constitution. So here is what happened years ago. Nobody, not even us, are bigger than who? The United States Constitution. Ban on guns in post offices is unconstitutional. U.S. judge rules. A federal judge in Florida on Friday ruled that a U.S. law that bars people from possessing firearms in post offices is unconstitutional, citing a landmark U.S. Supreme Court ruling from 2022 that expanded gun rights. U.S. District Judge Catherine Kimball Mizell, an appointee, reached the conclusion in dismissing part of an indictment charging a postal worker with illegally possessing a gun in a federal facility. Did you hear that? The United States federal judge dismissed part of the indictment charging the postal worker with illegally possessing a gun on a federal facility. Mizell said the charge that violates that, let's start that from again. Mizell said that charge violated right to keep and bear arms under the U.S. Constitution's Second Amendment saying a blanket restriction on firearms possession in post offices is incongruent with the American tradition of firearm regulations. She declined to dismiss a separate charge for forcibly resisting arrest. Well, you shouldn't have ran. Actually, I probably would have dipped too. Did not respond for comment. The decision marked the latest court decision declaring a gun restriction unconstitutional following the in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. The ruling recognized for the first time that the Second Amendment protects an individual's right to carry a handgun in public for self-defense. It also established a new test assessing firearm laws, saying restrictions must be consistent with this nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. A U.S. postal truck driver in Tampa had a concealed weapons permit and kept a Smith & Wesson 9mm handgun in a fanny pack for self-defense, his lawyer said. A fanny pack, bro? Fanny pack? I get it. He was indicted after prosecutors said he brought the gun to the Postal Service property in 2022 and fled federal agents who tried to detain him. He was charged under a statute that broadly prohibits possessing a firearm in a federal facility, including a post office. Mizell said while the post office have existed since the nation's founding, federal law did not bar guns in government buildings until 1964 and post offices until 1972. No historical practice dating back to 1700s justified the ban, she said. Mizell said allowing the federal government to restrict visitors from bringing guns into government facilities as a condition of admittance would allow it to abridge the right to bear arms by regulating it into practical non-existence. I'm going to link this in the video description so you guys can see this, because this is good. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. Now, before anybody says, oh, Jay, you starting some shit. Jay ain't starting nothing. I'm reading an article, okay? I'm reading an article that is in a major newspaper, and it is a federal ruling by a federal judge in regards to the Constitution. So before any of you guys decide that we work for the government, we follow the government rules and regulations. It's in 2 newspapers. Right here, federal judge ban on firearms in post offices is unconstitutional. Woo-hoo-hoo! The federal judge in Florida ruled a U.S. law prohibits people from having firearms in post office to be unconstitutional. The latest court decision declaring gun restrictions violate the Constitution. The judge shared her decision in the indictment that charged postal truck driver with illegal possession of firearms. Yeah. So this is basically 2 different ones. And now, back to what I was saying before. If our postal police officers can't protect us, and the inspectors, they're really not meant, just so you guys are aware, the inspectors are not there to protect us. They're technically there to intercept anything going through the mail system, so you guys are aware. Anything from the outside coming in and going back out. That's kind of their job. Who deals with the employees is the OIG, Office of Inspector General. They deal with internal affairs that go on in the post office. All right, just to give you guys a heads up. I hope some of y'all are learning something. But what I learned today was that, now this person wants me to call them, and I'm probably gonna call him later. But even through the article that I just read and his own, email to me, regardless of whether or not he was an ideal employee, does not take away from the fact that nobody has been protecting our postal workers up until this point. And if you guys read anything in the newspaper, anything on Google, and from the post office itself, is saying that our postal workers are being targeted for these keys and the mail and the Amazon and all that other stuff. It was just regular mail that was going through the mail. Do you think these guys would be worried about it? No. But they want those Amazon boxes. They want those Temu boxes. They want anything that they can get. The only thing that we really move through the regular mail is gold, which they'll never ever be able to find. The drugs that get intercepted, they'll never ever find. Or the IRS checks, which they barely ever find anyway. This mail theft has gone up, way up to here, because we're moving parcels and packages that contain expensive items. So because of that, who's protecting us? You give us more work, you give our carriers more work, you give our people more work, and now because of that, they're being targeted. But did anybody ever think about if they're being targeted, how do you counter that? Because we got these new mailboxes that are coming out as well. But we're not gonna drift too far. These new mailboxes are supposed to alleviate some of that stress. But for now, the real issue that, think about this for a second before we stop. Do you think that if this article went postal, went around the whole, like viral, the article went viral, and people started talking about, you know, postal workers can carry guns now. If they're not just random, you gotta apply for it. You know, I am a gun owner. I went through all the process and all the steps, even though the state I live in doesn't require that. You go through all the steps. But just imagine, I mean, if you guys got into the post office, 90% of you can get your concealed license, right? So just imagine the thought process of a criminal. Do you think they would approach a carrier if their mind in the back of their head, this son of a bitch could be packing? Do you think they go and rob police officers? No. Police officers got the keys to everything. They got the keys to the jail and all that stuff, right? They're not going to go, but they want the post office. If your carriers, the thought process of them just packing, you think they would approach them? No. Eliminate the foolishness off rip. Eliminate the foolishness off rip, because now they're concerned for their own well-being. They weren't thinking about our well-being before. But a criminal will run up to you if they think that you're a target. You're no longer a target if in the back of their head, you're protected. Okay? Do I think that every postal worker needs to be packing? Hell no, there's some crazy son of bitches that work with us. Half of you son of bitches don't need to be working there. But sticking to the facts, the US Constitution states that we should, and no, that we can. So, what we gonna do? Let's talk about it, baby. I'm pinning both articles in the first pinned comment. Check it out. I didn't really want to say what the individual's name is because he's going through the process of trying to get his job back. And like I said, Godspeed. Hopefully my man gets his job back because, you know, we're a truck driver, number one. Number two, he don't need no charges on him. This whole thing from running from the police, I get it. I get it. Two dudes run up on me. We're gonna be boxing. Or I don't know if I'm gonna run, but I've encountered that before. Nonetheless, this is JH. Tell me what you guys think about this. Tell me what you would do in this scenario. I think it's good. I do. I ain't gonna bring one till they say we could, but you know, yeah. Constitution says we could. Judge says we could. Let's see how the post office rebuttals this. Let's see how this plays out. I'm out.
Unexpected expenses stressing you out? Get the money you need now with Loans for Feds, a program designed specifically for federal employees. Bad credit is not a problem. Application is fast and easy with same-day approvals. Apply now.